As the United States approached its latest presidential election, Maria Zakharova, the spokesperson for Russia's foreign ministry, offered a scathing critique of the American democratic system, questioning its legitimacy and expressing concerns over the integrity of the nation's election process. Speaking from Moscow just days before the election, Zakharova pointed to widespread concerns within the US itself, where nearly 60 million ballots had already been cast through early voting. The irregularities and oddities, she noted, have raised eyebrows around the world. "I think," she said, "these developments shocked many people globally." She suggested that the so-called democracy, touted by Washington, was far from the democratic ideal, pointing instead to deep-rooted flaws that have created turmoil within the nation.
A few days before the election, 60 million people had already voted. And the irregularities, the oddities that the Americans themselves observed, I think, shocked many people around the world.
Zakharova's critique extended beyond the current election process to the broader American democratic system, which she described as a monstrous crisis. According to Zakharova, rather than empowering its citizens, US democracy has become an antipode of itself. She argued that the system has fostered bitter division among Americans, leaving critical issues unresolved and pushing the nation toward an unprecedented internal crisis.
Frankly, I wish them one thing: to overcome the monstrous crisis of democracy, or the system they claim to have, which has become the antipode of itself. I wish them to overcome the monstrous internal division that pits the people of the United States against each other without allowing them to solve a single problem. This is not democracy. It's something else, because democracy is a process by which a person can vote. What we're seeing in the US is a kind of terrible bogeyman that strangles people, puts them in a corner, and doesn't give them a chance to express their point of view.
In addition to her comments on US democracy, Zakharova highlighted Russia's role as a mediator in some of the world's most sensitive crises, including in the Middle East. The spokesperson confirmed that Moscow maintains contact with both Hezbollah and the Israeli government in efforts to mediate and aid hostages who remain in captivity.
We are in contact both with representatives of Hezbollah and, of course, with representatives of the State of Israel, with the families of the hostages. You can see a representative of the Foreign Ministry and Mr. Bogdanov, the Deputy Foreign Minister, meeting with the families of the hostages. And we are providing all the necessary support and assistance in this regard, because we believe that this is also our duty.
Zakharova emphasized that Moscow's humanitarian involvement, especially for Russian citizens affected by the hostage situation, is a duty Russia has always embraced, citing the efforts of Deputy Foreign Minister Mikhail Bogdanov, who has been meeting with families to provide direct support. Zakharova also turned her attention to Moldova, warning that the small Eastern European nation faces what she called a Western yoke that threatens to erase its cultural identity. She described Western influence as an invasion that, under the guise of promoting democracy, is eroding the Moldovan language, history, and traditions.
It seems to me that this is the tragedy of Moldova, that it is experiencing a Western invasion, a Western yoke that is destroying the state, that is depriving not just an ethnic group or a national minority, but an entire people, the Moldovans, of their language, their identity, their culture, their history. The way in which nationalities are being wiped out and the scale of it, I honestly don't know what to compare it to.
Comparing the situation to genocide, Zakharova suggested that Western influence in Moldova is a new form of cultural and social extermination. This, she argued, threatens the survival of the Moldovan people in ways that echo tragic chapters of history.